Good morning, museum visitors. Please join us for a nature walk please join us for a bird praying time at 11 o'clock. Eagle Bird Play Center, which is number 13 on your calendar. That's right.
Let's hear some examples of what you think birds of prey are, or what you've seen. Yeah.
Raptors like eagles and hawks.
Raptors like eagles and hawks. We'll come back to that. Yeah. Eagle and owl. Nice. In the back. I saw a hand go up.
I think he just said owl.
Owl. Also. Awesome. Any other examples that we can think of? Yeah. Osprey. Yeah.
Golden eagle.
Golden eagle. Yeah. These are all really great examples of birds of prey. But one of the answers we heard was raptors like eagles and hawks. And that is a very important part to this program because I have brought out a raptor. But this is a bird of prey encounter. But raptors are birds of prey. And there are birds of prey that are not raptors. So what is the difference? Birds of prey are any bird that hunts and has prey items. So they eat other animals. Insects are counted on this list. So birds like chickens, songbirds, but also fish eaters like penguins and herons are also on the bird of prey list. So it's a very wide, extensive list that incorporates a lot of different types of birds. But I brought out a raptor for you because they are a special type of bird of prey. But this is a bird of prey encounter because sometimes we don't bring out a raptor. But today we have. And this particular raptor is a gyrfalcon. And falcons are raptors, and they have all the characteristics of raptors that set them apart from other birds of prey. And we'll be going over those. So the first are their feet. Can anybody describe the difference between a penguin's feet and what you see on this bird? What's the difference? Yeah.
Penguins have flippers.
Yeah, penguins have flippers, whereas these toes look very different. They're long, separate, and they have really sharp talons on them. And that is because one of the characteristics that set them apart is the fact that raptors hunt with their feet. The word raptor comes from the word rapier, which means to seize or to grasp. Penguins don't really hunt So birds of prey are hunting with their beaks, and raptors are hunting with their feet. And the second characteristic that sets them apart is the beak. Can anybody describe a penguin's beak? What does it look like? Pointing? Yeah. Straight, long, sharp. What does his beak look like? Does it look like a penguin's? No. It's curved and hooked and still very sharp. And that is the second characteristic, a curved, sharp, hooked beak. And they don't use it for hunting. They use it for eating. So they don't have access to forks and knives like all of us. And most of the time they're eating large chunks or their prey whole. So they need a tool in order to cut up their food into smaller pieces, which happens to be their beak. Now the last characteristic is a little bit harder to distinguish by just looking at them. And that is their eyesight. You can't really look at a bird and say, oh, that one has better eyesight than the other. But the characteristic of great eyesight is the difference. Raptors have extremely great eyesight and very large eyes. They take up 2/3 of their skull space, which honestly doesn't leave a lot of room for anything else. It's just all eyes up there. And if we had the same size ratio of eyes to head, our eyes would be the size of oranges. That's just how big they are. They're also not the same shape as ours. Ours are fairly rounded. His are bell-shaped. So there's a big end to his eye and a small end to his eye. And looking at him, do we think we're looking at the biggest part of his eye or the smallest? Smallest, yeah. It can be up to twice the size of what you're looking at in the back of his head. Again, that is what allows them to have such excellent eyesight. And this particular species is very heavily reliant on its eyesight because it needs to be able to track its prey from long distances. Now, looking at this bird, can you tell what he likes to eat? Do we have any guesses as to what he might like to eat? Yeah. Meat? You are absolutely correct. He eats meat. Let's take it a step further. What kind of meat do we think he likes to eat? Yeah, what do you think? Mice? Good guess. Any other guesses? Rabbits? Fish? Oh, yeah, those are all really good guesses. Yeah. Snakes? Yeah, really great guesses. But this animal can hit speeds up to 130 miles an hour and a dive. Does that help determine what you think he might eat? Do you think he would be eating anything on the ground? Fish? What on the water? What do you think? What else could be in the sky at the same time? Yeah, other birds! You are correct. So this animal would splat on the ground if you were eating snakes, mice, rabbits, or fish. Well, in the water. So, in order to hit his high speed and be successful in hunting, he has to eat something that can be in the sky with him. And that is other birds. Now this particular bird lives in the Arctic. This is not a native species to the high desert. So he's found in Alaska, Russia, Iceland, Norway, all those very cold places. Does anybody have a guess as to what kind of birds are usually in those cold places? Penguins? Pigeons? I'll give you a hint. They go quack quack.
Ducks.
Ducks! Yeah, ducks and geese are primarily their hunting source, so they're prey. But there are other birds like ptarmigan and grouse, so they can also hunt. But primarily they're hunting those large, big birds. And that is because the Arctic is a very, very hard place to live, and you need the biggest meal possible in order to survive. And they can take down those large prey items because of the high speeds that they hit. They go up really high in the sky and they start to dive towards their prey after they have lifted off into the air on their own, or they have scared them into the air. And they'll hit their top speeds of 130 miles an hour, and at the last second, because they don't hunt with their feet, they actually flip the other way, stick out their feet, and punch their prey right out of the sky. And that is because they need that to be a fatal strike. I contradicted myself a little earlier. Raptors are supposed to have really strong feet and hunt with their feet. But falcons are really bad at doing that because their feet are really weak in relation relation to other raptors. And that is because they hunt birds. If they had short toes like a hawk, they would just grab a fistful of feathers, and that would not be a tasty lunch. So they have really long toes in order to reach through and get to the actual body of that bird. And because they punch their prey, they also have their feet open to utilize their talons. And so that way, when they have their feet open, their long toes can get all the way through the feathers and dispatch that bird. And they cannot hold on to struggling prey with those long, weaker toes. And so they do have a backup if that strike is not a fatal one. They use their beak. Their beak is much different because falcons break all the rules than a hawk or an eagle. He has an extra ridge on his beak called the toenail tube, which he uses, this is very morbid, I apologize to the young ears in this crowd, to sever the spinal cord of their prey and kill it because they cannot, again, hold on to struggling prey. So they're fully equipped to be the excellent bird hunters that they are. And this also comes with their excellent vision and their ability to see color. As you know, the Arctic is very bright and white a lot of the year. So they have excellent color vision to pick up minute colors in their prey's feathers that we can't necessarily see. But this comes with a little bit of a drawback. He can see excellent color, but he cannot see at night. He's completely blind in the dark. So this is why he has to be the most successful hunter in the Arctic. Because the Arctic has two seasons, the season of light and the season of dark, where half of the year the sun never goes away. And the other half, there's a few months where the sun never comes up. And they're in polar night. And if you cannot see at night, you have to be able to hunt in the little amount of day that you have and successfully catch your prey in order to survive, which is where the large prey comes in. So if they are able to take down prey larger than themselves, they can actually store that prey somewhere and eat it over time or gorge themselves and secure themselves a meal for the next 3 days. So living in the Arctic, not only with the harsh conditions, but the amount of light is extremely difficult for gyrfalcons. And it's becoming more and more difficult due to climate change. And gyrfalcons have been put at risk over the last few years. Now you're probably wondering, what the heck can I do about it? And actually, there's a ton of things we can do. But the simplest, easiest thing we can do is to help lower our carbon footprint. And the best way to do that is to drive a little bit less. Carpool, take public transport, or if there's snow in the forecast, if you have some cross-country skis or snowshoes, why not break those out for a trip to the grocery store instead? And you can help lower your carbon footprint that way. But there are lots of avenues that collectively and individually we can do to help protect gyrfalcons as our world begins to change. They are a very important species, and we do want them around for years to come. Now that is all I have for you today. Thank you for joining me. I'm more than happy to take all of your questions now. And again, you can come up to this front square and get a closer look at our raptor.